Hi everyone, my name is Maddie Moore, and I will be talking to you about the research I've been doing the past semester on the generation gap within the workplace. So the world has experienced drastic changes in the past 10 years. Technology is now an essential part of life, and humans have lived through a pandemic, and depression and anxiety are at an all-time high. Not only did this affect day-to-day life, but it had a massive impact on the workplace environment. Meetings that were once held in the tensions of a close-knit conference room are now taken in the comfort of one's home, where one may wear sweatpants on the bottom and a work shirt on top. Some thrive in this environment while others still severely struggle. That being said, the changes in the workplace have affected various generations differently, creating issues within generation gaps. Some generations have very different expectations as what a normal workday looks like. So after the pandemic, a typical workplace environment is not as community-based as it once was. Many employees' days take place behind a computer and screen from their home office. This has quickly become the new normal. According to many leaders, it is more cost-efficient and cohesive with the sign of the times. Now, calling this the new normal is a little bold for some. Young and old people work very differently in the workplace, and it is crucial to try to maintain employee satisfaction for all. This looks different for many different people. Now, older employees can truly benefit from these flexible work environments. That being said, this is a big change for them. They only know this old sense of community, sitting in a cubicle and taking a lunch break with your coworkers. Therefore, this flexible change doesn't necessarily associate with their employee satisfaction. On the other side, millennials and Generation Z have grown up in this environment. A majority of their college experience, me included, was spent taking classes and going into breakout rooms to converse. For them, this virtual workspace is their normal. Leadership teams are recently asking and conversing as to what is the more effective environment for their organizations. Both create some sort of generation gap and affect differing levels of employee satisfaction. So continue our discussion on the generation gap issue. There is much more that goes into the incongruencies of the differing generations. When it comes to millennials and boomers, they both have very different goals and expectations in the workplace. Millennials are quick to make decisions, and rather than working towards a common goal, they are more focused on crossing things off their list or completing specific tasks. That being said, they are very focused on their own success. Therefore, compared to boomers, who may just work towards a common value that an organization mission has. Millennials are much more task-oriented. They are very efficient in their work, but sometimes miss the bigger picture. They have a selfish yet efficient nature, and for example, they leave companies, they don't leave managers. They are never mad at the building, they are mad at who they work with on a day-to-day basis. So older generations might tolerate something for 5 to 10 years, while millennials will only tolerate it for 10 months. Millennials are quick to make changes and do the most beneficial things for their individual career. Now, aside from millennials and boomers, the upcoming generation, Generation Z, has the most workplace discrepancies, promise to cause a lot of new generational issues. As an upcoming generation does, Gen Z has a lot of doubts. They are described as youthful and inexperienced due to their lack of exposure to the workplace at a young age. Some even describe them as narcissistic due to their individual focus on success. That being said, they are highly educated and very achievement-oriented. They are fresh and hungry to be exposed to the work environment. Now, due to the drastic effects of COVID-19 and the overpowering effects of social media as a young person, many of them struggle with depression and anxiety. Therefore, leaders should expect, if they have not already, to create resources for mental health in the workplace. This is a growing conversation, and if an organization has not already discussed it, Gen Zers will be sure to start the conversation. Lastly, Gen Z struggles with the idea of autonomy. This is important to understand as a leader. Strong leaders will not doubt the upcoming generation, but will mentor them and embrace their intelligence. Now, Gen Z grew up and received a much different education than any other generation within the workplace. They have the capability to create a lot of impactful change for society, so it is important to not doubt or disregard all that they have to offer. So, based on the current workplace dynamics, certain people are viewed to be appropriate to be in place of power. Therefore, there is a stereotypical leader that is usually not at a young age because they would be expected to be lacking experience or authority. This assumption of leaders not being able to be young is created through the generation gap. In some organizations, it is appropriate to have someone of a younger generation in a position of power. Now, a diverse community dynamic is so impactful for organizations. These types of dynamics can stem from having a younger leader. Creating friendships in the workplace from generation to generation is rare, but when done, it can break tensions, therefore implementing benefits for the organization as a whole. So now I am going to go forth and discuss two different types of leadership approaches that can help eliminate the effects of the generation gap in the workplace. So to begin, transformational leadership style is defined by a leader who inspires his or her followers to promote change and transformation within the workplace. Doing so, leaders create a shared vision that motivates people to not only do good for themselves, but also do good for the surrounding community. So this type of leadership approach is essential when an organization is undergoing a significant change. Overall, this style puts focus on the change and development of the people despite their differences. So transformational leadership overall focuses on this general goal of positive change through a shared vision. Therefore, every member, every stakeholder, and every asset is a part of creating this change, making the relationships within the organization crucial. Every person is a part of this common goal, making no individual more important or more empowered than another. Therefore, this approach does a great job at lessening the effects of the generation gap by promoting equality and healthy relationships for organizational benefits. So overall, the transformational leadership approach has so many benefits in order to create a shared vision. When there's a shared vision, there is no place for negative relationships or a sense of hierarchy. The organization thrives by working together as a team by promoting change and growth within one another. Therefore, organizations that are struggling with age differences should highly consider transformational leadership in order to bring the association together to change for the better. So moving forward, the participative leadership approach also shows to be incredibly effective when dealing with the consequences of the generation gap in the workplace. So by definition, the participative leadership approach focuses on giving employees a voice, therefore involving them in decision making. This allows for open communication where followers have the opportunity to feel like they are a part of a shared vision. Regarding the age gap situation, this is important because followers are able to have a voice when there are issues. This allows leaders to face problems head on, and it also gives individuals an opportunity to speak up that might have felt unheard elsewhere. So to begin, participative leadership is directly related to an inspirational culture. Studies have shown that participative leaders have improved work performance through a motivational process. Therefore, by giving each individual their own source of empowerment, trust is naturally established amongst leaders, allowing them to create natural and work-enhancing relationships despite the age group. Having a voice in the workplace allows people to notice similarities in their work habits that don't take their differences into account. So overall, the participative leadership approach is an ethical way to involve the entire workforce under one shared vision. It gives individuals a piece of a shared vision, motivating them to believe in change. Not only do they believe in a mission, but they become a part of it. So in order for this to be effective, followers must work hand in hand with their team members in order to improve the culture and the community. The opinions for generational differences do not have a place within this leadership style. So next I will be sharing 5 generation gap workplace problems that are solved by these 5 ethical theories: Nicomachean ethics, care ethics, ethical egoism, utilitarianism, and Kantian ethics. So in a meeting the past week, a recent graduate of college gave their opinion on a substantial problem within your organization. They were quickly shut down, and their comment was barely considered by the higher-ups, most of these higher-ups being older employees. Younger workers in your organization tend to not feel valued or respected when giving their input because of their age. Sometimes they feel like they are looked at still as a student or even a son or a daughter of these older coworkers. Therefore, under Nicomachean ethics, the end goal is happiness, while attempting to obtain good. So in order to do so, work culture must be pristine. In order to obtain good, all in the organization must reflect good work ethic in a happy work environment. Also, this culture comes from the leader. So in order to integrate the younger employees and let them know that their voice matters, leaders should make it a point to listen to them and give the younger leaders an opportunity to speak up. Our next scenario is you recently just hired a college graduate as your chief marketing officer, which is a big position in a nonprofit organization. They are much quieter and reserved than the go-getter that you saw in your interview. You hired them because of their hunger and readiness to work. You talk to them about what is the matter, and they say that they feel out of place to lead due to their experience and their age. They are afraid of how people are going to react when they are the ones giving responsibilities. Within Care Ethics, as a leader, you take this as your opportunity to serve as a mentor and lead them in the best way possible. Allowing for this interpersonal relationship allows for a sense of trust and confidence in your CMO's new leadership style. Our next scenario is you have an older employee who is constantly and consistently late to every Zoom meeting because they need help finding the link. Each time they are about 10 to 15 minutes late. When they do get on, they always forget to mute themselves, and you have heard everything from blenders to microwave beeps to dogs barking. This has greatly affected the efficiency of your meetings because you always have to restate what you said to catch them up in the first 10 minutes of the meeting. You understand how difficult Zoom is for them, and this is not something that they are used to in a workplace environment. So it is in your own self-interest under ethical egoism, you decide to conduct your own one-on-one training for them on how to use Zoom so that your meetings can run more efficiently. This saves you a lot of time going forward, and it helps them on being a better and more efficient worker. Our next scenario under utilitarianism. So your team switched to a fully online platform that was voted on by a majority of your team. It takes a little while to get used to, but it will make the team most efficient when completing long-term projects and goals. It allows everyone to stay on track and see where everyone is in their progress. An older employee who's used to doing everything on paper and showing everyone their projects eye to eye refuses to use it because they are uncomfortable using the technology. This employee is also getting frustrated by how easy it is for the younger employees to catch on. It is obvious that he is envious of them and is giving up rather than making an effort to try. As a leader under utilitarianism, you are focused on what is good for the greatest number of people in your organization. This technology switch has shown to be very effective for most people within your organization, besides this one employee that is severely struggling. In order to help the employee, you plan to stick to the technological plan, but give them supplemental trainings in order to get them comfortable. This is the best thing for your organization as a whole, and providing these trainings will help improve this individual to even help the organization at a greater stance. Lastly, our last scenario is one of the new employees typically works a 9 to 2 p.m. workday and then leaves because she states that she is in graduate school and has other commitments after work. When she leaves, all the other employees stay till 5, so she leaves 3 hours earlier than any other employee. This employee typically doesn't respond to anything after 2 p.m. and doesn't get to anything till 9 a.m. the next morning. This 9 to 5 workday was always assumed, but has never truly been discussed with the leader. The other employees do it by force of habit because they have always worked in this type of environment. It is obvious that the older employees are frustrated with her tendencies and are categorizing her by the younger generation as a whole. They are categorizing Gen Z as people who leave work early and are lazy. So in order to eliminate the tension between these two parties, the leader decides to put out some moral principles that apply to the situation. These are called categorical imperatives, which will be universal and ethical rules where everyone in the company must abide by. Therefore, this eliminates any confusion and all parties will be responsible for upholding their side of the agreement. So the generation gap is a growing issue within the workplace. Older generations have a very structured way of what the office looks like pre-COVID, and Generation Z is coming from a work field knowing Zoom cameras and remote work days. The expectation of a day in the life at work ranged drastically from generation to generation. This has created some hostile relationships, and some are going as far as to say that they refuse to work with Gen Zers. When working for mission-based organizations, it is very difficult to promote a vision when there is an issue with the culture in the workplace. With the correct leadership approach, the effects of the generation gap can be lessened immensely. This is crucial as companies are entering the next couple of years. The transformational and participative leadership approach have been proven to help bring a workforce together and giving them a voice within a shared vision. These approaches promote change and transformation by inspiring others. Overall, they put more of an emphasis on the people, transitively causing the mission to be positively impacted. These two leadership styles also work simultaneously in order to create the best possible impact. Transformational leadership coach and inspire followers to make change, while participative leadership gives followers a voice in order to make that change. Overall, both work together towards a shared vision, which will hopefully eliminate the negative impacts of the growing generational gap. Thank you guys so much for listening today. I hope you take what you've learned and you can take this into your workplace and make change for the better.